I'm going to walk you through the text features of a Level S text. This comes from the Fountas and Pinnell Gold System, and this is book 149. This one's called The History of Chewing Gum. So the content of books at a Level S typically goes beyond the reader's knowledge and personal experiences, and a lot of times the content requires that the reader take on some diverse perspectives as it pertains to race or language or culture. This is not the best example of that. This is just about chewing gum, though this is likely something that children don't know other than what gum is and that they chew it. They don't know likely much about the history of it or even what it's made out of and how it's made. So it does go beyond their own knowledge and their personal experiences. I'm going to scroll down just so you can see what a Level S text looks like. It still has the table of contents. Okay, so here is the first page, and you might see right away there's a graph on it requiring some mathematical knowledge. As we scroll through, there's a map requiring some geographical knowledge. There's some old-fashioned pictures that might require some historical knowledge. And somewhere in here, there is also a timeline. There's a step-by-step guide on how to make gum. Here's the timeline. So this book already has a lot of extra features in the book that a child would know are important and that would require some knowledge on how to read a timeline and some of the other things that I mentioned. Something else new at a Level S, which I realize if you're going to the library to try to find a Level S text for your child, you're not going to get this detailed in looking through the books, but the use of some less common punctuation can come in around a Level S, and there is one example of that in this book on page 2, I believe. There is the use of, here it is, the use of a colon. So in this sentence right here, it says, picture it, Greeks draped in cloaks, Native Americans paddling canoes, and trail-making pioneers, all with wads of gum in their mouths. So we've got the use of a colon right here. A child, honestly, is probably not even going to notice that as they're reading it. Same with the ellipsis down here. The ellipses we've seen in other levels can come in, that's actually more common than the colon. But the use of the colon could be something that a teacher might do a lesson on after reading this book, just the grammatical usage of a colon. So that would come in at a Level S. You might also see a semicolon. There are no examples of that in the text part of this book. Again, you're not going to probably get that detailed when you're just at the library looking for a book, but that is something that's new at a Level S. A Level S is not too different from the Level Q, other than if you're just looking at the Q and the S side by side, if you go back to the previous video and just to look at how the Q is written, you will notice that this S has more text in it, and the font even might be a little bit smaller, and it might even wrap a little, I think it wraps a little differently around some of the captions or some of the pictures and illustrations. But it doesn't look so different from the previous level where a child would be starting in 4th grade. It just gets harder to see some of the differences as the levels go higher because the kids are really good, should be very good at reading here. So this is pretty much it for a Level Q. I do want to just read one other thing, that if you go back on my website and you click on the features of the Level S, it will open a PDF from Fountas and Pinnell, and it'll give you a little bit more detail. And so I'm just going to read one little sentence from that. It says that readers at this level, at a Level S, are challenged by many longer descriptive words. So they could still struggle with some of these new vocab words. Like on this page, we had the word archaeology and archaeologists, but it also says that they can take apart multi-syllable words. So they would attempt to decode this, and whether or not they get it correct, that wouldn't throw them off or stop them from reading this book, because it says that these readers also use a full range of word-solving skills, and they read and understand texts in a variety of layouts as well as fonts and print characteristics, and they consistently search for information in illustrations with increasingly complex graphics. So they know that this graph here is important to what they just read. They understand that this timeline that I showed you at the end of it kind of recaps what they just read, and they know that that's important and they're not going to skip over it. So that would be what a level S reader can do.